Hey guys, it's a proud cat lover, and today I'm going to be making an update on all of my baby Crested Geckos. So right now there are a total of 10 babies. There are at least 2 of them that I'm keeping. I'm kind of on the fence with Snickers because he looks so nice. All the patterns and stuff, the potential with that baby, but it's just hard to pick which babies I want to keep because I want to keep ones with potential for breeding in the future, but ones that also look really nice with patterns and everything color-wise. So anyway, we're going to look at the smaller babies first that are in the smaller totes, and then we're going to move on to the older babies. Anyway, enough talking. Let's look at some of these babies. Okay guys, so this is Smoke Bomb. This is one of Ember's babies. And you can see that he kind of has a little bit of a kink in his tail still. It's just that little deal there. I don't know if that's something that he'll outgrow or if it's just a little defect, but either way, he has no problem using his tail. He's just as healthy as the other babies and actually quite chubby, if you can tell here. I'm expecting Smoke Bomb to most likely be a Harlequin or a very low-grade tricolor, only because there's not a lot of white present, so it's probably going to be more of a Harlequin that he's going to be with pin dashing. And he does have a pretty nice looking crest for only being a month old almost. Well, actually, he would be a month old because he was born on the 2nd of June. So of course I don't know the gender yet, I'm just normally used to saying he for everything. So this is Smoke Bomb. We'll move on to the next baby. All the babies that I have pretty good temperament just because they're used to being handled quite often. Of course they get taken out every night to be fed, so we'll move on to the next baby. So this here is Toffee, and he is really fired down because normally he's just kind of a regular brown, and he is almost just like a cream pale color. You can kind of see his patterns. I'm not real sure if he's going to turn out to be a blonde Harlequin like his dad, just because he doesn't have any orange pattern, it's all cream, even on his back. Even when he fires up, he's kind of a pale color. But it's interesting because his brother or sister, Snickers, which is the one in that container there, is completely different looking. But this one is the one with the most pinstripe that I've ever produced. As you can see here, has a decent crest. But this one's a little bit older, so not as good of a crest as I would want to see, but it's still a pretty decent one compared to what Ember had when she was little. So Toffee, when he's fired up, like I was saying, is kind of a darker brown. The cream down here looks really pretty white. He kind of acts like he wants to jump. But you can see the pattern is kind of similar on this side. It's just kind of hard to see it because of the fact that he's so light colored. But he does have, as I was saying before he ran off, he does have a type of phantom stripe that is going underneath the sides there, that's that dark area. Both him and Snickers. Now it's more noticeable when they're fired up, and in person if I'm looking at him with my eyes it's noticeable, but it's really hard for you guys to see. Like if I darken the screen you can kind of see it. It's right under the dorsal, which is their back. Right under those cream spikes you can see this dark line that goes down his back to his tail. That's, I can't remember exactly because I don't think it's a reverse pinstripe is the actual name for it. But that's the only thing I can think of right now. So I'll just put it in the video so I can show you guys. Rose, you need to go away. No. Like, I love my cats, but they just don't get the hint that when these are out, they can't be close. Because I don't want them to accidentally hurt one of the babies. Because the babies will jump on anything, and it's the last thing I need is my cat to accidentally kill one of the babies because it jumped on him. So this is Snickers, and it looks like he is fired up. Oh, you guys are going to get a treat. Because he is so pretty. Okay, so you guys can see why it is so hard for me to not want to keep Snickers. Look at that color. It's just boom. And in person, it's even prettier. It's like a really pretty cream with that orange. His back is gorgeous with those white pinstripe pieces, spikes. I don't know what you want to call it. But he has so much contrast because of the orange. He's definitely going to be a tricolor, that's for sure. Because he's got a really good amount of white. So when I go to sell him, if I am able to part with him, which I already have 2 picked out that I want to keep. So it's kind of hard because I really want to keep him. But at the same time, I can't have a whole bunch of babies. So for me to keep him, I'd probably have to get rid of one of the other ones I want to keep. And that would just be too hard. It's too hard to pick ones that I have to sell. But if I were to sell him, because of how nice he looks, I'd probably ask pretty close to around like $250. I was looking on Pangea, as well as my Crested Gecko group, kind of getting price ideas for tricoloreds with pinstripes that are really nice, and crests, and the whole 9 yards. And a lot of people are asking around that. Depending on gender, of course. If this turns out being a male, more probably around 200, 225. But if it's a female, you could probably go around 250 to even 3, but I really don't want to ask the top area just because that's a lot. Now, I mean, he could be worth it, but I just have always felt bad about, like, charging a whole bunch of money. But, I mean, I might consult some people in my group that have been breeders for a long time just to kind of find out if prices I'm asking are reasonable or if they're too low, because obviously I don't want to gyp myself, because even though I am breeding these guys as a hobby, I don't want to let them go for too little, or let them go for not enough, I should say. Because while it definitely did not cost Snow $220 to raise this baby, it definitely has a lot of good genes in there. It's got pinstripe, it's got tricolor, harlequin, it's got the blonde from his parents. Okay, so I kind of was interrupted for a second, so that's why this is abruptly starting in a different place than the last part of the video. But this is Hawk. Hawk is the only baby I have that looks the most like his father. When it comes to color, he has a really good amount of pinstripe. The cream goes up to his chin bone area, so that's why I think he looks the most like his father. Also because he is really dark with just cream. He doesn't have any orange. Like, I don't know if you can kind of see, but there's no orange. Like, there's kind of a pale orangey looking color, but it's mainly cream. So he might turn out to be a blonde like his father, we'll see. But Hawk is a really pretty little baby. Brother to Mischief, which is the one that played dead when he hatched, which was not nice at all. But for some reason, he is not wanting to hold still for me. There we go. But yeah, he's a little guy. I can't remember exactly when it was that he hatched. So it was the 23rd of June. Okay, so he has a really bad habit of running up my shirt. So I had to grab him real quick because last time he crawled into my hair and on top of my head because my mom had to get him. So anyway, this is Hawk. And then we'll move on to his sibling, which is Mischief. Okay, so this is Mischief. He has what looks like to be white portholes, as you can see. He has those on both sides of his body, but he looks like he's probably most likely going to be a harlequin. I'm not really sure if he's going to be an extreme. We'll just have to wait and see for when his patterns develop more, if he'll hold still for me. So you can see the other side also has some of those white spots on it. He has a really nice uniform back up until his neck area. I really like those little scoop shapes that he has on his back. They're really cute. He's kind of partially fired up right now because he's a little dark, but his orange isn't really popping like when he's fully fired up. Just probably because this is the afternoon, they're not really fully awake. He has a decent crest for being little, but it's kind of a little bit smaller than what some of his siblings might have had. Really? Okay. He was trying to climb up my arm too. So, not really a lot to show right now with the little guys, just because they really haven't developed a lot of color. But of course, all of them are doing really good food-wise. They're little pigs. Now this guy, he is kind of a runt. He's a little bit smaller than his sibling. So he just gets a little bit more food. Okay, you are not jumping off the bed. Go back in there. So he, of course, I try to get him to eat a little bit more than his brother or sister, just because Hawk is such a chub, and then Mischief is pretty small and scrawny. A lot smaller bodied. He has more of a stubby tail than his sibling. Here we have Cappuccino, And I'll get him out real quick. He is also, or she, like I said at the first, I kind of say he for everything, is the other baby of Ember. And right now Ember is the only female laying eggs that are fertile. Blaze has been laying, but they've been duds the last 3 times. So I think she's finally done laying eggs. Of course, some can lay up to a year after being bred. In August it'll be a year since she was last bred, so I'm not too worried about her laying anymore. So this is Cappuccino. Cappuccino has the white on the stomach like his dad. If he would turn around for me. There you can see it. And then he also has the orange stripes going up his belly like his mom. And he has the patterns on his back like his dad. Really nice looking crest. Just kind of a very small amount of pin dashing there. He could possibly become a tricolor, but we'll see. He is definitely a little chub, as you can see, a little fatty. But Cappuccino is one of my better eaters that I have. So there's little Cappuccino. He might be a tricolor, I mean, we'll see. Because there is white there, but there might be enough. We'll just see when he gets a little bit older. Keeps trying to climb up my arm. But I do like the little area around his neck here, where like that pinstripe just kind of stays in that area and then it cuts and goes in a zigzag. Kind of spotty here, and then the back pattern zigzags and stuff. It's pretty. It's weird because I sprayed their tanks last night after I fed them, and there is still water in this tank. I just realized because my hand was wet. It's just weird. So anyway, we'll move on to some of the older babies now. Okay, so this is one of the babies I'm keeping. This is Ash. She was one of the first, or the second baby to hatch ever that I have. She is a tricolor. You can see there's definitely a lot of white. Got a really nice amber and cream and white on the dorsal. Kind of has a little bit of pinstriping, but not a whole lot. But when she is fired up, she is so dark. Those oranges really pop, especially on her back and on her sides there. So she's really pretty. She's about the size of Ember when I first got Ember, so kind of gives me an idea of how old Ember was when I got her. So even though she doesn't look like much when she is fired down, which normally happens, when she is fired up, she is gorgeous. So that's why she's one of my keepers, because those oranges that she has, they're more like a vibrant tomato orange, so they really pop. So she's almost big enough to be moved into her bigger container, but right now she's still kind of small enough that she can stay in here comfortably. So we'll move on to Bramble next and Pecan. Those are the 2 that are for sale right now, but of course I'm only selling locally in Kansas, so unless you live in Kansas, you can't buy one, I'm sorry. But I'm planning on vending at a reptile show. It's, I think, called Central Kansas Reptile Expo. It's in Wichita, Kansas. If you look it up on Google or on Facebook, you'll be able to find their page and information. I'm hoping to be able to vend there in December with some of the babies that'll be ready by then, as well as some of my Madagascar hissing cockroaches I'll be taking. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get on to the next babies. Okay, so this is Bramble. Bramble is, I'm assuming, in Harlequin because there isn't really a lot of white. There is a small amount, but I don't think there's enough there to really be considered a tricolor. Even a low grade would have a little bit more white than this. So I'm planning on asking around 125 to 150 depending on gender. I really haven't been able to tell gender-wise if Bramble is a male or female yet. I'm waiting for him to get a little bit bigger. So I'll ask a little bit more if it's a male. I mean, a little bit more if it's a female, just because that's normally how the market goes. He does have a small amount of pin dashing, but not really a lot. Does have a pretty decent crest for his age. I really like the backwards S that's on his back here. And he kind of has a really similar colors palette to Ash, who I just showed you. Because see how the back has that amber, cream, and white? And on the sides, it's more of that deeper yellow or orange. Because with some of the other babies, it's not that bright. And when Bramble's fired up, he's really pretty. I have some pictures, I think, but I'm not going to bother putting pictures in this video. But Bramble's more the type, kind of like Pecan. He'd rather hang out in his tank. I think as he gets older and he's handled more by more people than just me, that he'll definitely get used to being handled and be more kind of willing to be held for longer periods of time. But anyway, we'll move on to Pecan next. Okay, so here's Pecan, and he is a tricolor, as you can see. Mainly because he has an even amount of white to orange, and that's normally how you can tell if he would hold still. He has a really nice, pretty back pattern like his dad. Really pretty cream. Bramble is, not Bramble, but Pecan is terrible about being handled. He always has been like this, even when he was little. He just wants to be in his tank. He doesn't want anything to do with people. Hopefully that's not a big turnoff to some people because he is still a really nice gecko. He just is more independent, kind of like Phoenix, which is one of mine that I have. She does not like being held for long periods of time, so I just get her out to feed her, and that's it. I don't actually hold her. The other 3 geckos I have are more sociable. They tolerate it better, so once I have once I have Pecan out for a long time, he normally will calm down. But for a while, he just is walking everywhere. He just never sits still, which is kind of a pain. But hopefully he'll kind of diet down when he gets a little older. A little bit more experience being handled all the time. But you can see he has a very nice crest, just like his dad. Has pin dashing as well as a really nice dorsal color of that cream with the amber red going through it. He has some really nice orange and cream on that side. Not as much on this side, but there still is some. And I'm going to be asking $175 for him. Of course, when I go to the reptile show, the lowest I'd be willing to take would be $165. He is guaranteed male. I have found pores as well as the shiny scales on his belly. I did ask people in my group if $175 was fair to ask, and they said because he comes with weight records as well as lineage, and is such a nice crest and everything at such a young age, that $175 would be fair. But if I were to take any lower, $165 would still be fair. I obviously don't want to ask too low of a price because I don't want people, oh my goodness, he doesn't want to be held, but then he won't go back in his tank. So I don't want people, go in your tank, stop it. I don't want people to see any of my geckos and be like, oh, that one's cheap, so if it dies, I won't have to worry. There wasn't much put into it. So that's why when I first decided to breed, I was going to breed ones that had traits to where if I asked a lot or asked the normal amount for that trait, that people wouldn't be like, well, that's too expensive, because that'd be what the trait's going for right now out there in the market. So that's why I picked a little bit nicer geckos to breed, like Magma being a blonde harlequin, and of course Blaze being a tricolor. Both of those traits together, of course, have made very pretty babies, but they are also worth enough to where I'm not worried about people buying my babies and then not providing for them, because if you're going to be spending $175 or $165 on a baby, then I would hope that you can also afford to be buying a nice habitat, or at least a decent habitat and decent care, if not good care. Believe me, I would definitely not be buying a baby gecko for $175 if I wasn't going to take care of it. Because I think the most I've ever paid for any of mine was $150. And I think that was for either Magma or Phoenix, I can't remember. But all of my other geckos I've bought for either $100, or when I bought when I bought Ember, I got her on sale. She was $50, but I got her on sale for $25 because she was at Petco. Would not, of course, suggest buying geckos at Petco or PetSmart, just because of the fact that they aren't receiving the right kind of care that they should be, and they're also being housed with several other babies. They could have respiratory infections or some kind of sickness, mites even, and you just don't know. And at least when you're buying from a breeder, you can kind of see the type of enclosures they're kept in, especially with me. That's one reason I like doing YouTube, is I can tell people, hey, look, if you want to see how I've cared for them, how I've fed them, how I've raised them, I have videos proving that they are healthy, that they're taken care of, that kind of stuff. So this is the last baby. This is Sparks. I think she or he might actually be slightly fired up. Nope. I thought maybe. I have never once seen this baby fire up once. So this is Sparks. She or he has a really pretty like pale orange and cream. So very light color. You can barely see it actually with this camera for some reason. She also has a really light colored dorsal. There we go. For some reason, she's not really the best with handling, so there we go. She kind of sits still a little bit. She has like a pin dashing going on. She has a really nice crest for her age. You can't see the cheekbones, so that's always a good sign that it has a good crest. She kind of has a little bit of a stumpy tail compared to some of the others, but that doesn't affect anything. So I'm assuming that she's going to either be a really nice harlequin or a low-grade tricolor, only because she doesn't really have a lot of white, but it is a kind of mixed in there a little tiny bit. As you can see on this side, there's a little bit more than on the other. She's being really squirmy, so I'm going to put her up. I mean, it is thundering right now. The storm could possibly be scaring them a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully, I didn't talk too much. Sometimes I have a bad habit of visiting too much, like I'm doing right now. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your day.